My special guest today is in studio on the Instant Celebrity Maker. Her name is Amyr Heard. Say hello, Amyr.
Hi, so glad to be here.
I love your blue glasses. They're very stylish. So
Thank you.
you must do something in marketing and branding, and we're going to learn about that a little bit today.
Sounds good.
Okay. Well, I'm going to ask just the very first question is, how would your friends describe you?
Ooh. Um,
You have friends, yes?
I do have friends. I'm trying to think about like that blanket statement maybe.
No, well, here's a better question. Let me shift it a little bit.
Okay.
If you were not in the room and you just had your ear to the door, what do you think they would say about you?
Is this story going to go any longer? I am definitely a storyteller, and I think it is both probably part of my charm and part of my quirkiness as well. So I get like really into the weeds. Like I try to paint the picture of like what was going on, what I was feeling. And so sometimes I can be a little long-winded when it comes to that. And so I think that might be one of the things that they say, like, oh my gosh, that was the longest story she's told yet. Um, but it's always entertaining. So yeah, I think that would be one of the things they might say.
Okay. All right. And storyteller and entertaining. Those are good things to be referred to. Okay.
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. I don't think they would say anything too bad about me.
Well, that's good. And what is Amyr's greatest accomplishment?
Ooh, wow. You know what? I would just have to say, like, personally, my greatest accomplishment is just navigating through this world in spite of all my fears and doubts that I have about myself and what I can do. So I don't know it's necessarily one thing. I have, I have won awards, and that sort of thing. And so those are like really cool things, accomplishing things as it relates to me, just whatever professionally and even just creatively. Like there's some artsy things that I've done in the past, but I would say my greatest accomplishment is like, despite like the fear that I have, just being able to move past it, because as we all know, fear can paralyze you and keep you from moving forward. And it's not like an overall accomplishment like I'm good. It's something that I still deal with every single day. I think the more you do, the more sometimes you have these expectations thrusted upon you, and you still have to like move through it all.
So what's the award you won? Let's talk about your career a little bit. You're a marketing and branding expert, and
Yes.
that's where you marinate, let's just say, and to create your stories. And what award did you win?
You know what? I should know this. So there was a campaign that I did where I won 3 awards off of that one campaign. Even so, I got one for like, and they were all first and second place. So I got one for experiential campaigns, like creative social media, and oh, what was the other one? Brandon, like I need to like have this written down somewhere. I really don't get caught up in that. So I have won awards like that, and I think 2018 I was voted like one of the like 100 successful females in business. The event was held in Miami, so I have that award. That was the most recent one.
Well, that's
That
great. And you didn't know I was going to ask that, but that's what
that's
makes
neat.
live interviews so fantastic. Sometimes questions just come out through the process. I didn't know I was going to ask you, but you mentioned awards. So I thought, okay, well, let's celebrate this a little bit. Let's tell the story. And there you are.
Yes,
And
yes. It's
yeah,
thank
well, okay. So you've won some awards for your field. So how long have you been in business?
you. I have been, you mean my company or just doing marketing in general?
Both.
Okay.
How long have you
So
been
I
doing
have
in
been
marketing?
doing,
And yeah.
So about to show my age. So I've been doing marketing for over 20 years.
Okay.
And as far as my business is concerned, we started in 2006.
Oh,
So
long time. 15 years. Okay.
yeah, a long time.
All right. And what do you wish you had known when you started out with your own business that you know today in 2021? What do you wish you knew back then?
Wow, so many things. I think one of those things, because my business came about accidentally. I wasn't trying to start a business, right? It was just something that I felt like people kept asking me to do things, and I was like, I should be doing this, like, so that they're just not personally writing me a check. Like, I need to have a business, and that's kind of how it started. But one of the things that I wish I had known was to have a strategy in place before you just go out there and start doing things. And that's something I didn't initially have, right? And I just kind of, I was more reactionary, and that's not a great space to be in. So being prepared, understanding like your offerings. At first I felt like I was trying to do everything. Can you do this? Yep, absolutely. Can you do that? Absolutely. And just being like having more focus, understanding really what my business is, what I want to offer to people, and be okay with telling people no. I was such, a person who always wanted to say yes. And that's not always good. You know what I mean? You can spend a lot of time doing things that you don't want to do when you say yes to the wrong things. And so now I have no problem being like, no, I'm sorry, we don't offer that. But hey, here's somebody who might be able to help you better than we can.
Well, there's something I've learned in business also, and I'll chime in here because I think it's a great point. And I know I'm going to get a head nod out of you. You've got to say no to the good and yes to the great in terms of opportunity.
Yes, absolutely.
See, I knew your head would nod. I knew it.
100%. Yes.
Yeah, it's so true. And in either your personal life, that could be personal, spiritual, or business, what are you curious about right now?
You know what? I am curious about investing. And so that was something, again, didn't grow up with someone telling me to invest. I grew up with people telling me, put your money in your savings account, make sure so I did have that. But so I am interested right now in investing, as a real like stock market, but also just in other businesses. So I've recently invested in a couple of like startups. And so yeah, so I'm
Well, that's great. Curious about startups. Okay. And
hi.
here's one. What have you failed at? And you can also reposition
Ooh.
that question any way you choose.
Hmm. Let's see where to begin. I failed at so many things, but I call it like the good failure, right? Where you fail, you learn, and then you like you dust yourself off and go back in. So I would say, I'm trying to think. You know what? I would probably say delegation has been a big failure for me. And it's not that I don't trust people to do things at all. It is that because I've never, because I started off so small and it just being me, I never had like this really huge budget where I could hire all of these team members. So I had to be extremely strategic about the people that I was, getting involved in, in my business. And so sometimes people maybe didn't move as fast as me, or they didn't do it the way that I would do it. And not that it was wrong. And sometimes I might delegate and then I'll start like doing those things myself. Or I delegate very little and I end up doing those things. And it kept me from, I think, the type of growth and being able to scale the way that, the way that I can now.
Well, it's the power of leverage is what you're
Hmm.
talking about. And oh my gosh, and I have delegated myself. I hope you don't mind me chiming in on top of this. I'm agreeing with you. And and what happened for me is when I would delegate out, and if they didn't meet my expectations, I'd cop a resentment. And then end up having to do it myself begrudgingly. And yeah, I get it. So but
Yeah,
I learned from those experiences going
yeah,
forward. Now I'm
definitely.
going to ask you my favorite question, Amyr.
Okay.
And now you have to go back in time. Somebody has passed. If you could have a coffee, you could have a Starbucks or what have you with any Starbucks wasn't around, but any
Hmm.
historical figure, who would you choose? Dead. They have to be passed.
Okay. Excuse me.
Sure.
Um, wow, again, so many options. Um, and people are probably going to be like, what? I think one of the people that I would really like to have a conversation with would be Prince.
Prince. Okay.
Yeah,
I haven't heard that one. Okay.
yeah. When he passed, you know, I was looking at him. I wrote something that I never submitted. I initially wrote something down that I was like, oh, maybe I'll like share this in a blog or something, but never did. But I looked at him and even like Michael Jackson, but just how they like all the marketing things that I learned from them, even though they're not marketers, right? And even business. Like Prince took so much pride in the work that he did. He was he lived in excellence. You know what I mean? He challenged the status quo,
Big
right?
time.
He went from being Prince to being the artist formerly known as, and then back to Prince. He persevered. So, like, regardless of whatever he was going through, he pushed through and he got the name Prince back. You know what I mean? Um, he has, well, had, I think like all of the rights to everything that he did. You couldn't even sing a song, one of his songs on YouTube without it being taken down, right? So he was just really an amazing person. Um, Everyone that I've known who has had, that the opportunity to work with him, they just seem to say really great things about him. So he is someone, and he also used his platform to, to be somewhat of an activist, right? With certain things, right? So, and he did so much for the culture. I would really just like to have, a cup of coffee with him. I think it would be, really interesting. I know people might say that like, X or Jesus or, I don't know, but, he's someone that I would love to grab a cup of coffee with.
I think that's a great choice. And I was at a nightclub once in LA in the 80s, and he's my age. And
Mhm.
he was there with his he had this big, looked like Santa Claus bodyguard. And he was there. And I remember Little Red
Mm.
Corvette played while he was in the club. And it
Oh
was
my
just,
goodness.
yeah, it was very cool. But I agree. He's absolutely a trailblazer. A lot different than Michael
Yeah.
Jackson was perceived as a competitor, but not really. Different,
Right. Right.
different, different, and both about the
Right.
same age. I think they were exactly the same age.
Oh
Or,
wow.
yeah, and they both passed just far too young. So,
Yeah. Agreed.
all right, now let's bring it current. Who's been your most important professional mentor?
Mhm. Mentor. Wow, that's a really great question.
You've muted yourself. You've muted yourself.
Oh
Oh, there
my
you go.
goodness, I'm sorry. Um, so I would have to say, wow, that is a really
Who have you
interesting.
admired? Let me ask it another way. Who have you admired
Okay.
that's been an inspiration for you in business?
Um, I would have to say her name is Amy Wright. So she's not anyone who, who you might know. But professionally, I worked with her at an agency,
Okay.
and I do work with her now as well. We've kind of been able to like reconnect in terms of business. Uh, but when I was working at the agency, she's worked with big companies like like the Coca-Colas, um, and like the Home Depots of the world. And the way that she was able to kind of take me under her wing and show me a bit more about strategy and working with some of these really big brands. Uh, I don't know. It's just priceless. And she continues to do that. She's just a very professional, um, she just knows her stuff. You ever meet those people who just seem to like know it and it's just, it flows so easily for them. At least it appears that way. And she's so selfless in sharing that information.
That's called a
So
role model, a good role model, then, isn't it?
Right. She really is. And she, like I said, she continues, to do just that. And so she has definitely influenced me, especially like the last few years that I've known her.
Okay, great. And if you could go back to an 18-year-old Amyr, what piece of
Mhm.
advice would you tell her?
Wow. I would tell her to get the experience, like take advantage, look at all of the opportunities that you have around you and take advantage of them. Right. So like going into college, there are a lot of resources there that I didn't fully take advantage of. And I look back and I'm like, wow, I really could have like done more with the things that were right there, at my fingertips. So I would definitely tell her to do that. Care a lot less about what other people say and think, and just really try to move in excellence. You know what I mean? And just being kind to people. So and not that I wasn't kind or anything like that, but I think it's always just a really good reminder that it's not always all about you, and to really just like look out for other people. But
Okay. And Amyr? Yeah. So,
yeah, can you hear me?
yeah, I can. There was a little bit of pause. Sometimes there's software challenges. So yeah, if you, I would imagine you still have a lot of aspirations and dreams to move
Mhm.
forward with your business. And what's your plan in order to get there? What is your plan to achieve your goals?
You know, part of it is the word plan, like really just planning, and just trying to be strategic about things. We've all had a little bit of a wrench, I think, thrown into our business with COVID, quarantining, and all of this. The good part is us being so small. We do use a lot of technology to help us, kind of to help us grow and be able to, I don't want to say level the playing field, but you know what I mean,
Sure.
as it relates to some of the other businesses. And so while this quarantine has definitely affected us, it's been a little bit different. It hasn't been like we were already on Zoom, We were already working from home. So it's those things. But I think what we want to do is like try to figure out like where the world is going to be 5 years from now and 10 years from now. And we don't want to be one of those companies who is like stuck and not looking at like some of the signs, making some shifts that maybe we need to make. But yeah, so that's kind of what we're doing. Like we're planning, we're looking out, getting help. Again, I haven't been the best with that. So really getting help from like those people, those experts who know their field and can help us as it relates to like forecasting and everything. So yeah, a lot of stuff still for us to do. And even personally, I'm working on a book right now. So I hope that I can just continue to press through that and do it. Because again, I'll put everybody else's stuff kind of in front of mine, and then it'll be another year that I haven't finished the book. So yeah, those are some
Okay.
of those plans.
Okay. And how do you overcome a challenge when life kicks up its dirt? And that happens.
It does happen. Um, Really, I try to step back from the situation and try to look at like the bigger picture and just really, again, I hate to use the word like strategize or plan, but and then just really like figure out what should be my next step, right? Sometimes I don't handle it well. Like I have a tendency to like just like step away from it and act like it doesn't exist for a little while. But I
Sure.
always know that I have to come back to it. So the good thing is that time period is shorter now than what it used to be. So now
That's
I may
called
step away
experience,
from
isn't
it,
it?
right?
Yeah.
So now I may step away from it, act like it's not there for a little bit of time and then go right back to it so that I can address it, because not doing anything about it doesn't change anything, right? So I think like that's the main thing. And just again, realizing that not that it's not that big of a deal, but it's not the end of the world. Like whatever challenges you're going through, they're there for some sort of reason, I believe. So whether it's a learning experience, whether it's to push you forward, because sometimes when you go through it, you realize like what was waiting for you at the other side was so amazing. You know what I mean? And had you not gone through it, you wouldn't have had a chance to experience that. So I just try to look at it that way and just keep it moving. But things can get tough and overwhelming for sure.
Okay. Now, this question's pretty timely because you
Okay.
just mentioned something before I even asked the question. So, if you had to write a book tomorrow, what would you write about?
Um, so I guess I would write about excuse me. I believe that everyone has genius, right, in you. So however you define genius, some may say talent or skill, whatever that word is, that it's in all of us. And like in uh, led in a sense to put that out there. You know what I mean? And let other people know like just because you are not part of Mensa, right, doesn't mean you are not genius in, or have some genius that you can share with the world. Not necessarily for monetary gains, right? That could be the case too, which I'm all about. But that there may be some way for you to share it, whether it's just as a hobby, like just you doing you, or if it is, something that you now create a business around. And so um, that's kind of like where my book is. It's about just letting people know, like, hey, you have genius. Everybody, we all have something special inside of us. Helping them to pull it out, because these are things that I've done that have helped me and even helped some of the people around me. So I feel like it's something that will work. And just being able to live, like a happier, healthier life.
Okay. All right. And what's one question you wish I'd asked? So if you had a question, Mitch, I wish he would have asked me this. What is it? And then I'm going to ask it.
Oh my goodness. Wow, that's a good question that I've never been asked. Um, what question do I wish you had asked? Um,
What do you want or let me put it another way. What
mhm,
would you like people to know about you and or your business that you can tell us?
sure. Why I do it.
Okay. Why do
Why
you? Okay. All right. Here we go. Amyr, why do you do what you do?
I do what I do because I really do care about people's like hopes and dreams. And having a business, because we provide, marketing, social media, PR services, being able to help, especially small businesses, startups, um, like really make their dream come true is amazing to me. Like it is the best feeling when, you get someone like a cool booking and they're on like BET or MTV or you know what I mean, something like that. It's amazing when you do something strategic marketing wise and their product, is now more visible and they're getting the clients that the clients or customers that they want. But really, it's just about helping them realize their dream, and the services that we offer, help to increase like awareness and visibility, that sort of thing, and helping them even sometimes just being able to streamline how they communicate and talk about their brand. I just love that. Like, it makes me feel good. And I have worked on major campaigns. I'm not exactly sure what you can see in the background, but from films like the film Race. I've worked on projects like Captain America, Winter Soldier.
Oh,
Um,
wow. Cool.
yeah, yeah, and so we've had an opportunity to work with major brands, and major campaigns, and it's great, absolutely. But sometimes you can't see your how you've helped to push the needle on some of the bigger campaigns. A campaign like Captain America Winter Soldier, there's a lot of agencies working on that, right? It's not just one strategy, one audience, nothing like that. But when you work with a small business and like they started with maybe this many followers on social media or this many consumers or their average sales are this, and that what you've done has really helped them move the needle. uh, it's a really great thing.
That's fantastic. Yeah, you feel
And
good
small
about what
businesses
you've done.
backbone of this country. Absolutely, absolutely. So that's why I do what I do.
And how can I support you? I mean, how do you market your services? How do you get out there? Is it reputation only at this point, or do you want to grow further?
I definitely want to grow further. And which is why, like, a lot of times I've turned down interviews and other things like that because I would rather get my client the interview than me having the interview. So I'm just starting now to get in a space where I'm like, you know what, we need to start doing this ourselves. But for the most part, it has honestly been word of mouth. That's how we've gotten, I would say, 95% of our clients.
Well,
So
that speaks to your quality of service then, because if you are strictly by referral, but have you been on TV yourself? I mean, this is a live podcast interview, but have you done television? You've been in newspapers or magazines? No?
I have been in some, again, but not really for myself. It's usually me caught on TV because I'm doing something for a client or a project that we're working on, never me sharing like our website, about me personally. Usually it is about whatever client that we're working with at, you know what I mean? Like at that time. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well, I would probably call you a giver. You probably have been accused of being a giver more than a taker in life.
Oh, definitely. I would definitely say that.
Okay. And personal question, what would you
Mhm.
say about your guest experience on the show today?
You know what? I love it. I love how it is just very relaxing, and it's kind of like you're talking about business, but not really talking about business. And so I definitely like that aspect of it. And you've just been, great. So I'm really excited to have been on the show.
Great. And final word.
Final word. We'll go with Nike's final like words, and say just do it. Move past the fear, move past the doubt, and just do it. Like let your genius come out, and live the life you want to live.
Well, I have the distinct pleasure of doing what I do, and it's a gift of clients that I'm able to work with. And I will say today for sure, Amyr, you've been
Mm-hmm.
a gift.
Oh,
We had a couple little technical issues before we went live. We worked through it, and that's what successful people do. It was meant to happen, and you were meant to share your gifts with the people, and you've been a gift today. And I appreciate your time and energy, input, intelligence, and your genius to share with the listeners today. And I
well,
would love to be
thank
able to work with you again. And thank you so much.
yes, anytime. I would be happy to do anything. Yes.